Get ready for another microdose. And hey, if this information is jiving with you, then check out the full episode. The link is in the show notes. Enjoy the ride.
But today we wanted to kind of try something out. So we used ChatGPT, and I typed in what is human purpose and where does it come from? And it comes up with the concept of human purpose refers to the reason or intention behind a person's existence or the pursuit of certain goals or aspirations. It is the idea that there is a fundamental meaning or direction to human life beyond mere survival or physical gratification. And that, man, I'm super impressed with ChatGPT. I'm also a little scared by it, but there's this one particular response was spot on, and I loved it. And it also reminds me of this movie. You know, I've got young kids, so I watch the Croods. If you're familiar with that movie, it's the cavemen and women. And anyway, it's basically a family that lives in a cave because the dad doesn't want them to die, and he keeps them in this cave. And the daughter wants to get out and live her life. And there's a scene in it where the father says something about living your life. You have to live your life in the cave, and she says, well, that's not living. That's just not dying. And to me, I think that's what purpose is. It's finding the reason we are here, the reason we are living this life, right? It's very easy for us to get wrapped up in the everyday kind of rigmarole, the fast-paced life that we talked about at the beginning, and get wrapped up in doing, and never really stopping to think about, hey, am I doing things that are related to my purpose? So I love that opening, and funny enough, like I mentioned, it's from ChatGPT, but man, it was spot on.
Yeah, I think purpose, John. For me, that's really my experience of living life on purpose. Like I've kind of been on my own path for like 20 years. Moving to New York with a passion to act, and then finding yoga, getting deeper into mindfulness. And now, this show is really, it's kind of always waiting, in some ways of like not knowing exactly. I think one thing that, as we dive into purpose here, and one thing that I think really needs to be very, explained and understood is, just because where you start and be like, I'm going to do this one thing, we're going to talk about how to find that thing that you're going to do. And you think it's going to be one thing, and maybe you just that's your first foot or first several steps on the path, to pursue your purpose, but that can change. I went from, acting, I was teaching acting for a while, and I started meditating. I started doing more yoga. I started teaching more yoga. And even all during this, I think thinking like acting was like, that's going to be it. And I had some success, and it was fun. And I learned a lot about myself because it demands so much of the self. It demands so much of going on the inside, right? To access more of your emotional life, to be more present on stage. That's what kind of brought me into the mindfulness space. That would brought me into meditation. The physical practice of yoga helped me to release a lot of stress and anxiety in my body. It created hell of a lot more physical awareness. The teaching started to develop more of my voice around these practices, which I already had developed more of my voice by being on stage, being on camera, being calm. And even during, when I was teaching, like pre-pandemic, I used to go to this therapist for years, and I'd be like, I don't know what my legacy is going to be. I don't know what my end goal is going to be. I don't know, and it's frustrating. And then pandemic hits. It's kind of it kind of pushed me in a new direction, and it pushed me to you, or push us to the show. Like I knew you pre-pandemic, but this is the show because I love it so much, and I want to help people, and that's a big part of being on purpose and living a good purpose is like not just serving your bank account or your basic needs or your wealth, but serving other people. So connecting to a higher purpose is really important when you are working and finding and discussing your purpose, which we'll get into. But I just wanted to share. I think people think, or maybe you don't, or put it in the comments if I'm wrong, or if this is true, that just because you start in one place doesn't mean it's not going to change.
Oh, for sure.
Part of being on purpose is that flexibility. and vulnerability of just tapping into something greater than yourself and letting that guide you in some ways, as well as, working, to access more of that, more of that voice, more of that heart, and allowing that to help pull you forward in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I think, like you mentioned, your purpose can change over time, and you're going to probably in your lifetime have multiple purposes. Like for me, I feel that my purpose when I was in the military was one thing. I think the overarching purpose is service, right? I served in the military. And now I'm serving in a different capacity. That's my purpose with Men Talking Mindfulness and everything else that we do that's kind of associated with Men Talking Mindfulness, helping others lead their happier, healthier, more fulfilled life. That's definitely the overarching purpose. But even underneath that overarching umbrella, there's like miniature purposes, right? I think that's something that we need to be aware of, and be aware that we can change purposes over time. And I think that's going to change with your priorities. As a 24-year-old single guy, my purpose was definitely serving in the military. That's what I felt. And, that was my number one priority. I did get married, and I honestly still felt that my purpose was to be the Navy SEAL and to serve this country, and that was my number one priority. And that was that was to the demise of my first marriage. Since then, been remarried, I have 3 kids, and my number one priority is my family, and the purpose is serving still. The purpose is serving them. The purpose is serving in my career as well. My entrepreneurial endeavors are all circled or focused on service. So I think that, finding the overarching purpose is important, and then finding maybe sub purposes or priorities underneath that, and then realizing that maybe even that overarching purpose is going to change. Those priorities are definitely going to change over time, depending on your life situation. But yeah, it's a moving target, if you want to say that. And there's definitely things that are going to get in the way of you finding your purpose. They're going to get in the way of you pursuing your purpose. Maybe you find your purpose and then you don't know how to pursue it. And that's definitely an important thing to know, because, that's potentially going to guide you on another path. But even if you get guided on another path, you may be able to find your purpose on that path. And that's another important thing to consider. Hey, thanks for joining us on this journey. Small doses lead to big changes. If you're vibing with this snippet, then take a listen to the full episode by clicking the link in the show notes. If you would like to plug in deeper to what we're doing, head to mentalkingmindfulness.com or text MTM to 33777. Until next time, peace.